What's up, friends? Today we're checking out the latest song by the Arctic Monkeys, There'd Better Be A Mirrorball. The Arctic Monkeys are an alternative rock group from the UK. Personally, I loved their album, AM. Very swagalicious album. They're putting out a new album in October, and as their lead single for that album, we have There'd Better Be A Mirrorball. Mirror balls are, of course, basically just disco balls. This song was produced by James Ford, who also worked on AM with the Arctic Monkeys and has the side project with Alex, the Last Shadow Puppets. Alex is the lead singer of the Arctic Monkeys. We're going to be looking at this song from the perspective of a producer and songwriter, so expect a lot of pauses to go over specific elements and changes in the composition and in the songwriting. It's a long intro. That's fairly long for like a standard pop song to have an instrumental intro. Very pretty though. Incredibly pretty intro. I really like how they're layering keyboards. A mellotron is what it sounds like, as well as strings. A slightly discordant sound. I would guess we're either in G Phrygian or C minor here. Probably G Phrygian given the slightly discordant nature in some of the chords that we're hearing right now. Also, there's a little like clip distortion, fairly stylistic choice to give it kind of an older recording sound. Almost reminds me of like early James Bond scores or like movie scores from the 50s and 60s. Nothing too crazy, just, the kick and the keyboard stabbing the same chord over and over again to say, hey, we've gone from one section to the next. Good way to like switch up the energy a lot.
Yesterday still leaking through the room.
Compositionally, we're looking at big drop off in terms of instrumentation. We don't have those strings as much, but we do have percussion that's supplying a little bit more energy in that section. We've cut out the high strings because they were taking up a lot of the frequency space that vocal would be in. We've got a mellotron doing this really simple pattern kind of over and over again. And then you have just like these occasional stabs by the piano and guitar to add a rhythm, a little bit of syncopation. In terms of lyrics, we're setting up a scene. I like the metaphors he's using. He's not outright saying, hey, this is the end of a relationship, but he's saying like, hey, there's things from yesterday, and you're kind of getting the vibe of like, oh, this is nostalgic about past romantic events for him. Thank you so much for watching so far. Please subscribe. Please.
I know I promised this is what I wouldn't do.
I really like the line, I know I promised this isn't what I would do. I think it's a powerful line. It's very conversational. And I think that's one thing that Alex really thrives on, is his ability to be conversational in his lyrics. Everything sounds very natural, but still has kind of like this nice poetic weight to it. I think that also comes from not always pursuing a strict rhyming scheme. You can see a lot of good poetic influence there.
Seems to better suit the...
I also like the recording techniques they're using here to give it a kind of old vibe. You're hearing a lot of kind of almost crackling, not like this hyper clarity you get from a lot of pop music. It gives it a nice retro vibe. It's an older thing, like this is a classic song, which is cool.
That there's a mirror ball.
I think it's interesting that whole first verse and chorus has basically the same instrumental landscape. I also like that during that chorus he's going into a slightly higher register. It's a good way to kind of increase energy in the vocals.
You're getting cynical and that won't.
You'll notice going into that second verse that the drums drop away for a second. It's a good way to drop the energy a little bit. There was almost a little bit of a transition coming into here.
And say, baby, it's been nice.
Ooh. Oh, that line's good. that moment when you look them in the eye and say, baby, it's been nice. He's picking these different images and these different conversations to give us the impression of what's going on without outright saying what's going on. Also, I really like the bass line there. I like when it comes in. It's pretty late in a song for a bass line to come in, but the riffs it's doing are really fun and really cool. I like the moments when it's pairing with the stabs going on the guitar and piano, and I also like those moments when it separates itself a little bit. Creates a very new texture and flavor for the song.
So do you wanna walk me to the car?
That string arrangement going into this final chorus is so cool. We're really getting these strong chords in the upper registers, and even though the bass notes are implying more of like minor chords, because we're focusing on like the third, fifths, and sevenths in those higher strings, it sounds a lot more cheerful, a lot more major, as if he's, coming to terms with what's going on in this relationship. There's more of a finality. I also like that we see the strings really come in at the beginning and the end, kind of ties it in like a book.
That there's a mirrorball.
That falsetto at the end is really pretty. It's a very full sounding falsetto, which is harder to do because that head voice is naturally more thin, but I think just because his vocal is so full as it is, when that falsetto hits, it sounds really well rounded. It's also a nice way to further increase the energy. We've already added these higher strings, and then when he comes in with this point of his vocal that's really at the top of his register, you're getting a lot of strain, you're getting a lot of energy from that exertion to get to that point. I like how at the end section there, the mellotron cuts out. This thing that's been doing this repeating line, this repeating melody is no longer there. That offers a nice finality in terms of composition that pairs with this finality that's implied in this relationship. I also enjoy this idea of saying there'd better be a mirrorball as a way of asking for kind of a last dance and a last experience with a romantic partnership. Interesting song. I liked the crooner aspects to it. Crooning fits his vocals well. It feels like a 70s, 80s type of croony vibe. Really great orchestration going on here. Good way to kind of develop on few chords and few changes and still find ways to kind of make the song interesting. Hope you enjoyed this little reaction and that gave you some insight into the song. Please subscribe, like, comment, share. I've got my own music. I recently released a music video. That's right here. Please check it out. It's for an upcoming album I have coming out on September 22nd. That's it. Catch you on the flip.
Give me strawberries in July, 'cause I could use a break from the messes that I made.